What up YouTube? Today we're skydiving. What up YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be hacking a PC power supply, which the camera's currently stood on, so I can't show it yet, out of an old computer and turning it into a power supply for your LiPo charger. So in my case, wherever I put it, somewhere, I've got the AccuCell 6 from Turnigy. So basically, I'm just going to pick the camera up just one moment. I'm just hacking this. Fucking dust on that, look at that, it's wrong. You can tell it's old. Hacking, basically this part is the, come on, focus, there we are, the power supply out of this computer, and I'm going to be turning it into, like I say, the power supply for the charger. So I shall get the side off and I'll show you what I mean. So here we are then, on the side of the computer. As you can tell, this computer hasn't been used for quite some time. That's the power supply there, and what we're looking for is on the side of here, if I can keep it bloody still, is on the 12 volt rails. We're looking for, they're at least all 10 amps, which they are. So it looks, there's 12 volt, 1, 2, 3, there's actually 3 rails on this one. They're all above 10 amps, which is what the thingy, the charger runs on, so that's all good. So as long as you've got that, you can pretty much use any power supply. And then I'm just going to rip this out of here. It's just 4 screws on the back, there, and then we'll get cracking. Now before you go start blowing yourself up, disclaimer, for the love of Christ, discharge your power supply for, I'd say at least an hour, but to be on the safe side, unplug it, take it out the computer, make sure it's had no power for at least 24 hours. But if you're impatient, then an hour should do it. But disclaimer, don't take that as gospel. And I accept no responsibility for any people getting, like, blown up or something. Right, so we've got the power supply out now, and looking a lot better than it did. I'll give it a good blasting. And so what you're looking for, basically, don't get too hung up on what each of these wires and different things do for the moment. What you're interested in, and I hope you can see this because I had to switch cameras because my other one's got a big scratch across the lens, which is annoying. So I can't actually see what's going on, so bear with. I hope this is in shot. But looking at that green wire there, that's basically a wire that tells the power supply to turn on. Without that plugged into a motherboard, it won't. Obviously, when you hit the switch, that's what triggers that to turn on. Obviously, out of that, you can't do that. So what you do, you have to short. Sounds bad, but you have to short this wire with any black wire. So I would recommend probably just the one next to it, which is this one here or this one here. They're both. I'll probably use the inside one. You want to basically just cut both of those, tie them together. Obviously you'd want to ideally do proper solder job, which I will do eventually, but I'll just twist it for now to show you. And then the power supply should turn on, which is good, which is what we want. And if you've got a power supply with a switch, even better, because that means you can manually say, actually I don't want it on. So the next thing is, and I'll show you all this as I'm going along, but you want to focus on any yellow wires. Now this power supply is a bit odd in this part of the, I think it's this one. One of these wires are basically yellow and blue. I think that's still all the 12, basically it's the 12 volts, the yellow and blue, or the yellow, I mean, sorry, is basically, yeah, there it is. I don't know if you can see that here. Yellow and blue, so I'm not sure whether that's true 12 volts or what that is, so I'm going to ignore I'm not going to use that, either one of those. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take off a few of these solid yellow wires, because these are the 12 volts that you're going to need to, because the power supply runs on 12, not the power supply, the charger runs on 12 volts. So what we'll do, first thing first, before I overload everybody with information, let's get this one snipped here, and then it's usually a green or sometimes a grey, but usually a green wire. So I'm going to pull these two so I can get at them. And I haven't got the best cutters in the world, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to try and just ram these in. Those cut, marvellous. Probably going to cut this, if I can get this on it, cut this, not ideal, but it'll do. These are actually tin snips, but they do the job. Sorted. So that just frees those up a little bit more. But those two cables out here. What you want to do is you want to strip the ends. So I shall do that now with my even cheaper grade strippers. I have got some decent ones somewhere, but somebody's robbed them. So we'll have to do it like this instead. That one there, and then we'll strip this one and get off. That's probably going to be a smaller one, yes. If I could actually see it. There we go. Nope, okay. We're going smaller. There we go. Basically what you want to do is just twist these together. I'm going to solder them, but for now a twist will do. Just like that. And that didn't work. I'm going to solder them. solder went well, but not the most pretty at tape jobs, but at least it's safe. I was going to use heat shrink, if you were wondering, but yes, I did forget to put it on first. So, next job is, if we get this one, yeah, I was originally going to use my Amtex soldering iron, which is this thing, but it just wasn't powerful enough. It wasn't getting hot enough to sort of melt the wires, so I reduced to the cheap but surprisingly feckin' good Powercraft from years ago, with not even a proper end on it. It broke, and then we just twisted it so we still had an end, but that actually worked excellently. So next job is to, well, that's about basically it for the actual mod. Just the next job is just finding out a couple of these, so we're going to cut a couple of these connectors off. Probably I just use the Molex ones wherever they are. Yeah, these ones. And then cut off somewhere here because I don't need this extra bit. This power supply is not going to be used for anything else anyway. So probably just going to cut off this cable. I'm going to leave the rest intact just so I don't have to worry about exposed wires and things. If you're doing this properly, well, I won't say properly, but if you want to do a complete job, a good idea would be to actually cut all these wires and plunk like at the ends as far as you can get without being connected on the end of them. Group them all up together, so all yellows together, all the blacks together, all the oranges together, and then do it that way. But being as I just want this, it's only going to have one purpose, so to be fair, I'm probably not going to bother with any of that, at least not in this at this stage anyway. I'm just going to rip off a couple of these and twine them together. So I'll probably use like the Molex, it doesn't really matter. Cut off that cable, probably one of the SATAs, maybe both the SATAs, because you want about 3 to 4 is probably a good number of cables, like especially if you're going to be charging any more than sort of 1C. So if you're going to want to try and charge it like 5C or something like that, which the charger does support, then you'll probably want something a bit more beefy than this, but I don't intend to. I want my battery to last as long as possible, so I'm going to be just using 3-4 of these cables, probably 3, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we're to the point where we can actually plug it in and test stuff now. I've separated, don't think this is entirely necessary, but I've separated 3 ground wires to match the 3 12-volt wires. I just like erring on the side of caution. So make sure your power supply is turned off before you before we plug it in, just in case there's anything. Lost my fucking power supply. Anything untoward. So what we're going to do, we're going to keep these bloody separate. That's what we're going to do. Keep these separate, I said. As you can see, the power supply is now powered up. The fan is switched on. So right now, this thing is live. So for the love of Christ, don't touch those wires. Right, so what I'm going to do now is going to switch it got the old the cheapest multimeter ever, but I'm going to switch this to DC 20, which means up to 20 volt DC voltage, which is what we're testing here. And I'm just going to check that there's 12 volts coming from these wires. Black obviously is your black, red is your red. If we put on there, see, we've got a nice steady 11.9493 volts, which means this is working. Hope to God. Why do I put it that way around here? Should be able to see what it says now. Hopefully. It's 11.93 volts anyway, which is just shy of 12 volts, which is exactly what we want. So, right, I'm going to now switch this off and unplug it. Hopefully that has drained most of the power out of it, but being as we're not going to be touching these together anyway, we should be fine. I want to check there's any residual voltage or whatever left. We can stick this back to DC 20, put that on the end of there, and just see. We've got 0.04, 0.03, 0.02, 1. Should be 0 anytime soon. But anyway, there's a very small voltage there, so it's like it is definitely switched off, unplugged, and we're alright to work with it again. So next step is just to group these wires up, solder them together, and then we'll turn that off so we don't waste battery. We'll hook it up to the charger and we'll see if it powers up. Okay, we're just going to do now that's all soldered, we're going to do another quick test just to see that everything's okay and nothing blows up. I'm totally confident in what I'm doing. Can I just I'm just flinching for the camera, like. Yeah, this is completely safe as long as you do it properly, which is why I'm very, very paranoid about it. So we'll get the old multimeter out again. Well, I say multimeter, it's more like multi-wires at the moment because there's no freaking pins on the left of it. So I shall put that in your direction again. Hopefully you can see. And for the love of Christ, don't get this wrong the way around or you'll blow your multimeter up. See? And look, if I actually touched it properly would help. A lovely 11.94 volts. So this is completely ready for us to give it a whirl on the old charger now. So I'm going to go grab the charger, I'm going to go switch this off for the moment, and then I shall be back momentarily. Okay, now I've got everything set up with the AccuCell 6 Turnigy charger. One thing to note is that it doesn't come with crocodile clips anymore. The old version did, this one doesn't. It does come with them, but it's for output only, because it actually has for the output, well input in this case, sorry, it actually comes with XT60 connector on the side of the device, and because of that this is the wrong one. So this is intended for sort of output use or whatever, I suppose, unless I'm being, yeah, it's for output, because that would connect into that, and then that way you could connect it to whichever one you want. So what I'm going to do is bash around on the bloody power supply. Is the actual one cable that comes for the input is actually bullet connectors. The same bullet connectors I bought, which match my battery. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not quite sure how you, I'm guessing it's a solder job, but I'm going to solder one of these to each of the ends of the cables and actually have bullet connectors, so I can plug it in, plug it out, and nice, be safe and everything like that, which is cool. So I'm going to get on with doing that. In the meantime, I've grabbed a pint of my favourite beverage, because it's bleeding hot, and we're going to get cracking with this soldering job. Cheers. Incidentally, I'm not necking alcohol, don't worry, it's just tropical juice. This has been a godsend, by the way. Literally all I've done is get an old piece of, well, this is actually nylon, but old piece of wood, anything like that, and I just drilled a hole the same size as this. I'm not sure exactly what it is, just a few millimeters down, like ½ centimeter. Holds it lovely. So we're gonna get this bugger soldered. Marvellous. Not sure if I think I've got enough in there. Feels pretty damn strong though, to be fair. Incidentally, yes, this is the first time I've ever soldered one of these. So this is actually quite good. If I cut this sort of there kind of length. So it just covers that, and then that and the connector. And we'll get this, I'll let that cool down while I'm cutting. Yes, I should use a pair of scissors, but what are you going to do? Right. Not that there. And then this is what the lighter was for. Just yes, this is the first time I've done anything with heat shrink as well. But considering, I think that's gone bloody well, don't you? Now that's what I call a connector. Well, the whole industry would call a connector. I just called it because I've only just done it. Right, on to the next one. That's marvellous. So now we have our 2 connectors. Do I sound surprised? I am surprised. We've got 2 connectors on our power supply, which will connect perfectly into our 2 connectors of our input of our Eternity charger. So make sure that is definitely output and input. Clunk, plug them in, and we'll give it a shot. Okay, just because I'm paranoid, we're going to give it a test just to make sure these connectors are working alright and everything. So if I see the multimeter there, you probably cannot see that at all. Let's try and prop it up a bit. And then shove that in the hole there. Shove that in the hole there. And put 9.4 volts. Oh, I'm proud of that. Considering I sound like I know what I'm doing. I don't. I've just been sort of researching this on the net, and I found the best things to do. So let's turn this off. Let that drain power. Let's connect this up. I really hope I don't. Really hope I don't F this up, for want of a better word, because this was expensive. And there we go. LiPo balance charger, powered and ready. That's about it, really. This should be quite nice little power supply for this. These wires are safe. I've soldered them up and insulated those or whatever. The actual unit's sealed, so you'll be fine. I've got some nice connectors on the end. So yeah. Well, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to know anything more, maybe do a quick video on how this works. But to be fair, there's an excellent video from RC Model Reviews. I'll link the video for how to use this and how to balance charge and a few other little things that I found incredibly useful when I was deciding on which charger to buy. And I'll put him in the description. I'll actually put his original video because I got the idea from him, so I'd like to credit him. So I'll put in his video for the power supply mod. He was a tiny bit more ghetto than mine, but without him actually showing me that this was possible, I would have spent about 40 quid on a new power supply. So there you are. Like I said, thanks again for watching. If you've got any questions, just put a comment down below, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye! I am the danger.